Hi guys, I hope you're having a wonderful day today. In this video, I'm going to be looking into the question, what new experiences in love and romance are on the horizon for you? There are three groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Jet. Group 2 is the Fluorite. And Group 3 is the Dragonstone. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to, I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Jet. So let's see what new experiences in love and romance are on the horizon for you. Okay, so we have the Fox and Ivy, Adaptability. The Raccoon and Sycamore, Curiosity. And the Porcupine and Anemone, Boundaries. So there's a sense here with these energies of somebody has been like developing feelings for you or kind of contemplating the idea of what exploring romantic potential between the two of you could look like. This could be a friend that is trying to like hide a crush that has developed. It feels like something that this would be something where these would be relatively new feelings for them towards you. It's like, so maybe someone you've been friends with for a while or that's been in your life in some capacity for a while that isn't just like face in the crowd, but it's somebody you have like regular or semi-regular interactions with. This could even be somebody like within your community that you see, you know, as you're going out and about, you're doing errands, you're getting your groceries, like whatever that looks like. And there's a sense of almost like you've captured their attention, like they've become even more curious about you, or kind of like the deeper layers of what's possible in whatever way that resonates to kind of expand beyond the threshold of how you currently interact with one another. So this could be like a friend that wants to start to explore the territory of something more, or even just somebody that you have like casual interactions with or kind of acquaintances with that may want to just skip the friend stage altogether and are kind of like working up the courage to maybe ask you out or put some feelers out as far as like receptivity. If it's somebody that you just kind of know from out and about in your community, they may not know if you're single, if you're available, and so this could be some kind of hesitation. You could almost catch this person kind of like looking at you, like looking to see, is this person wearing a wedding ring or something, where they're kind of like taking note of when they see you and like, okay, you're not with someone. I often see you alone or just with groups of friends. Like they're kind of assessing the situation in that capacity, not wanting to overstep any sort of boundary or like embarrass you or really embarrass themselves is kind of what it comes down to. And so it's a sense of dipping the toe in the water that wouldn't be just kind of random person out of nowhere, you know, DMing you or reaching out or something like that. This would almost be the familiar face wants to come in closer and sort of redefine how you are seeing one another. So let's see what else you need to know about this. Okay, we have mythic sages and co-author. So it feels like you've definitely had conversations with this person. It's more than just like, hi, how are you doing? Something where they've gotten a little peek or a glimpse into, or maybe again, this could be like a friend that has developed romantic feelings to where they would know you quite well, but they are fascinated with the way that your mind works, the way that you look at life, your priorities in some sort of way. This is somebody who sees you as very kind of mystical, very otherworldly, but almost in the sense of they like the inner peace that you have and the way that you balance that with your intensity, like the way that you embody your own personal yin yang polarities. There's a sense of like, this is something that I've been looking for. This is something that I've never experienced in a partnership, or I've never like met someone like you. There's a lot of curiosity of kind of, it's great to be your friend, or it's nice to have these kind of acquaintance interactions with you. But this is something where it's almost like someone who's put some deep thought into the idea of, I bet it would be wonderful to love you. I bet there's like facets of you that are only privy or only come out in the presence of somebody who's like loving you correctly. You know, when you're nurtured by another person, when you're nurturing yourself, there's a sense of this person is fascinated by kind of the way your energy changes, almost like the idea of a mood ring. So they may have seen you kind of, or interacted with you when you're like stressed out, when you're not feeling well, when you're on top of your game, when you've had some kind of success or victory. Like they've taken enough note that you don't maybe wear your heart on your sleeve, but your emotions in some sort of way have a very palpable effect upon like your energy, or even how you're presenting yourself, what kind of the visual representation is. And there's a sense of that they really like that vibe. They may have watched you go through some sort of process of like closing a cycle or clearing something out, something that they could be only just sort of aware of in a very kind of general way. Like you might, if it's a friend, you might have been like, oh yeah, you know, I had a recent breakup, or, you know, I've just been single. I'm kind of like waiting to meet the one, something where it's like they know there was kind of an experience or chapter in your life that occurred before they came on the scene that has in some way shaped you, not into like an embittered and shut down and like negative person, but it's like you've cultivated your peace through all of that, or you're in the process of actively doing that right now. Maybe this can even be something where you're ready to kind of put yourself out there again if you've been single for a while, or the fact even if you've kind of gone through the process of like, I can't meet anyone on dating apps, online, in person, you know, nothing's kind of panning out in that sense. As much as you may at times feel like I need to just redirect the focus elsewhere, or, you know, you could go through your own sort of like doubts and fears and shadows, this person sees that you like wear that uncertainty well. You're weathering the storm of like the dating game or the dating pool or the dating world in like the modern era. And there's a sense of they really like how you're handling that, how you're going with the ebbs and flows. They like the fact that they don't see you with just anyone. You're not settling. You're not just kind of reaching for crumbs and trying to convince everyone else that that's like happiness for you. So there's a sense that they like your standards, ways in which you might also have like personal boundaries and barriers that you keep a lot to yourself, that they see you as somebody who's, there's more than meets the eye to you. Like you're friendly, you've garnered their attention, or again, this could be like a friend, but there's this aspect of like mystery to you. Who are you when in these other layers of like these sort of inner circles of trust? When people gain that access to your life in that way, there's a sense of like, that must be a wonder to behold. And so it's compelling this person. They're kind of like building up that courage to take that empowered action and see if there is a way to kind of alchemize all of this unknown, this void space, all of this potential into something that could be a very fulfilling experience between the two of you. It feels like this is somebody who's not looking at you and thinking like, okay, I found my happily ever after. That might just not, they may be somebody who's very much living for the moment, or you know, kind of where they're at in their own journey is like, I sort of work with what I have in front of me, hope for the best, but I'm not gonna like live in that land of potential perpetually. And so there's a sense of almost, they're not in any kind of rush. They're just kind of naturally or organically answering this call within them that's like, hey, this is a friendship, but something more is developing. Like they're not fighting those feelings. Or if it's someone you know out and about in your community, you know, maybe you chat with them for a while. If you do anything as far as like yoga, meditation, anything associated with like wellness, this person could have like an association with that. You could encounter them in conjunction with those types of things. So this could even be like somebody at the gym, for example, that they're picking up on your vibe, or kind of something that you're putting out, and it's enticing them forward to get to know you more, to earn their way in. It feels like through those personal boundaries, through those layers of like what you show the world and who you are inside. And it's a sense of like, I'm drawn to that light. I want to nuzzle in closer. So let's get one final card and see what else you need to know about this. Okay, we have the Maiden, shining hope and future. So this is actually the energies of the autumnal equinox, which this is a timeless reading. So whenever you are finding these messages and they resonate, just take them accordingly. But when I'm at the time that I'm recording this, that event, the autumnal equinox, is happening in like 2 weeks. So this is somebody that is already, this isn't like, oh, on the horizon, something has been sighted and it's heading towards you. This is somebody they're in your circumstances, they're in your energy, they're in your life in some sort of way, but they haven't given you any kind of indicators or reason yet to sort of look at them as anything more. You might be like, oh, that's a handsome man, or that's a beautiful woman, or, you know, I really like this person, they you know, I have a good time kind of like talking to them, or if it's like a friend, you know, we have a good time doing whatever you do with one another. But it's almost like their actions would cause you to then say, oh, I didn't know that was an option for the two of us. That it's almost like they've given kind of no signals or indicators that there would be potential, or maybe you're even thinking to yourself like, I don't know that I'm what this person's looking for. This could be like an opposites attract, where on the surface, like, you would look almost like an odd couple. People on the surface might be like, well, how'd those two end up together? What's the common thread that like unites those two individuals? Because the presentation is so different, or like how you live your lives, or, you know, kind of where you're at in your lives. It's different from one another. And so there's a sense that this person is definitely in like the driver's seat of this circumstance and they know that almost like, this person, you the viewer, are not going to know that I have these feelings within unless I say something. And so this is like, they could be on the brink of sort of taking that action. It may even be, if this is somebody that you don't know very well, that's just kind of an acquaintance, that action step could be something like they start to talk about things from their personal life. They start to kind of take the conversation beyond sort of more of the superficial aspects of what it's been at this point, and that can kind of get your attention like, oh, okay, this is something different. Like the intensity of their energy towards you, or their openness towards you, it feels like is getting ready to show like, hey, I see something, some potential, some hope, some possibility, some energy of maybe here that is beyond kind of what we are to one another, or how we interact up to this point in time. And also, if this is like a friend, that work colleague is coming through as well. So it may just be somebody like you've worked with for a long time, and you're kind of just friendly with one another, like in that sense, like you know, you have a good time when you're in the workspace, but then, you know, you're not hanging out outside of the office. This can be somebody that starts kind of becoming more active on your social media, or maybe they do give you that invitation, or they start to kind of bring the nature of those interactions with one another in that kind of workspace, or in that sort of friendship, that there's something that kind of catches your attention. Like they want to catch your attention of like, okay, I might not be ready to fully ask you out on that date, but I want to start to get to that place where your mind is operating in the wider scope of possibilities here. You're not just, oh, this is a friend and that's all they'll ever be, but or this is a colleague, that's all they'll ever be, but something that is kind of again, like dipping their toe in the water. Relatively speaking, for some people, this is going to come very quickly. Like they're maybe right on the brink of doing that, and it's a sense of like that kind of illuminates or opens this potential of like, okay, it's taken however long that this person's been sort of a factor in your reality. Now we're starting to head towards something that like, it expands that territory. It opens up the possibility of like building in a new direction. It almost kind of sets an intention of, I see something more long term than just these superficial fleeting interactions, or you know, kind of the limited space. If it's like a coworker, for example, a colleague, of like, we interact in this capacity, but I want to kind of broaden that range in some way. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got E, R, G, M, Y, L, B, Q, H, O, I, U, Y, and V. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Fluorite. So let's see what's on the horizon for you as far as new experiences and opportunities in love and romance. Okay, we have the antelope and wheat, nourishment. Quail and gooseberry, anticipation, and the boar and pumpkin, confidence. So with these energies, I'm hearing finally, with like a sigh of relief. So it feels like this is something that is either long-awaited communication from someone who might have kind of scurried away from you. They went into the bush, they went into hiding, they might have sort of pulled back their energy, or this could be somebody that has been at a distance, like maybe they had to travel for work or for pleasure, and so it's kind of put a halt to your communication. It might have been like sporadically hearing from them, or it could have just been total radio silence, and all of a sudden they come like charging forth with a message of like, okay, I'm back, I've returned, or I miss you, I'm ready to talk. There may have been almost like a disagreement or something that could have been sort of misinterpreted, that had caused two people to kind of have to go off in their separate corners and lick their wounds. And there may have been almost like a standoff. Who's going to be the one to break the ice? Who's going to be the one to come forth and kind of get the conversation happening again? This could be something that happened, and again, all these readings on my channel are timeless, so just kind of take them as they resonate. But with the energy of the wheat, this is giving like summertime energy, and so that could have been over the last like several months. You might have been in no contact with this person, but then with the pumpkins here, this is autumn energy, and we're about to enter into autumn in like 2 weeks. So it may be something that like immediate future, even kind of like October, sort of like Halloween energy, over the next couple of months. This feels to be something that may kind of just pop out and surprise you, like all of a sudden, almost like right when it's getting ready to turn back into a pumpkin, right when your your hope or your confidence or your thoughts of like you'd ever hear from this person again, or that you can get past things, or that hurt feelings, that they're going to move beyond that, like right when you're at the point of release, that's when they come forth. They're like, okay, I'm sorry, I miss you, I'm back. This could have even just been if this is somebody that needed to, like they were traveling, like they went abroad for example, or maybe they were traveling for work, and you went from like, okay, we're having like all this communication, we're hanging out, we're getting together, or whatever that looks like. This can also be a long distance connection. So like if you were communicating virtually for a while, and then they're telling you, I need to go somewhere, I need to do something, that could be something that might have gotten your mind kind of overactive imagination. Are they seeing someone else? What if they meet someone else? Something that might have really kind of tested or challenged what you've developed with one another up to this point. It feels like something that might almost be not very long of a connection, or somebody you haven't been in communication with for very long. And this could have been almost like the first period of like the first fight, it's going to be several weeks, or for some, I'm hearing like several months of no contact, no communication, or just very difficult communication. It's almost giving the energy of somebody that might have had to go somewhere where they don't have great cell phone reception, something for like work where it's just like, I can't get online very much, or the nature of the work, or even kind of like time zones, time schedules, where it was just sort of, it's hard for us to connect. It's hard for us to interact. It's hard for us to kind of like have anything more, maybe even than just kind of quick little messages, or, days in between sort of hearing anything. And so this may have been something that has kind of activated some sort of wound or uncertainty within. There could have been like reading between the lines, or miscommunications communications of like these things that are sent from like a very almost like pressured or like a place where this person might have been like working long hours or doing something very strenuous, and so it's almost like they could have been sort of short-tempered or you know, just kind of tired, or like not a whole lot of time or energy to put into you know, kind of the usual nature of your communications. And it may have been something where you could be almost like at the point, or we'll come to the point of like, I'm just going to detach. I'm going to, you know, start to consider, well, all right, maybe I need to look for love elsewhere. And it's like that's when this person sort of comes back online. They come back towards you. They come rushing in. It's not somebody who's just trying to like sneak back in and be all nonchalant with this idea of the boar. It's like they make quite a rustling as they come back in. You know, it's a sense of somebody that might have just had to like pull away. They sort of, you know, run off in the bush like the quail, but then it's the sense of like, when this person comes, it's like a big sort of homecoming energy. This might be somebody that even like they come back from a business trip or travel, and like they brought you something. They brought you a souvenir. They, you know, they come and you're meeting them when they get off the plane, but they're bringing you flowers, kind of an energy, something that's almost reinstills almost your confidence of like, okay, we can get on back on track from this, or it mirrors to you in some sort of way. Hey, this shadow or this wound, this, you know, nerve ending was kind of poked during this person's absence, and that may get the ball rolling as far as you starting to explore, I really do feel something for them. This really is an important situation for me. I really do want to kind of see what I need to do on my end to make things work. Like it feels to be something that kind of provides you with an understanding of, okay, this isn't just something that is meant to kind of rot on the vine. Like this is something that can become kind of a vehicle towards an experience of something deeper, something more beautiful. So let's see what else you need to know. Okay, we have the initiate and co-author. Yeah, so this is somebody that you've had some back and forth with. You know, this might be somebody that you had reached out to. Like if they kind of got triggered, or, you know, there was some kind of fight or misunderstanding, they might have left a lot of your messages on read and just like not responded. They might have told you like, I need some time, I need to think, I can't talk about this right now, I can't deal with this right now. They might have just sort of pumped excuses in, just sort of create a buffer for themselves around the reality of like something triggered them, something kind of hit their raw nerve endings, and you've each needed to kind of move into a separate space in order to process that. It feels like they're going to come back through with explanations, or sort of like, this is what I've learned in my time apart. This is what I've discovered. It's something that like kissing and making up with this person, because it doesn't feel like they've done anything so horrible that you'd be like, I'm never talking to them again, I blocked them, it doesn't matter. It's almost just something where there's like this pause or this indicator of, I don't know if I'm coming or going in this situation. Like, I don't know where we're at. Like you're right at that place of, it feels like when this comes in, I'm just going to detach. I'm just going to, you know, if they reply or they reach out, fine. But I'm really putting my energies in sort of scanning the horizon to see what else is there. And it's like when that happens, when you sort of shift that focus elsewhere, it feels like that's the point where they come out of hiding in some sort of way. A lot of explanation, something that kind of provides you with evidence of like, okay, they've shed a version of themselves. Even if this is somebody that needed to do things for work, or maybe they were traveling with this idea of like summertime and then autumn. This could be somebody that was like traveling for the summer. They you know, took time off. They took their vacation time. You know, it could even be like a school, somebody you know from school, where it's like, okay, it was summer break. They went back to wherever they're from. You went to wherever you're from. And there's been this period of like, are we going to see each other again? Something that might have kind of started towards like the end of the school year, if school is something relevant here for you. And then there's a sense of like, okay, things just got started, but how's it going to pick back up when we're in contact with one another? There's been this almost tension of unknowing. It's somebody that has evolved in the time since you've been apart. Maybe their personal experiences have brought them some kind of enlightenment. I'm hearing pilgrimage, so it might have been somebody that went on like a pilgrimage or like a retreat, something where they've been even perhaps focusing on like spirituality and inner child healing and like their wounds and kind of their perspective on life, where they may almost come back more enlightened. Certainly something where they've shed a burden. So maybe they just had like a really good vacation. They feel rested, they feel rejuvenated, and they're ready to get back on the saddle, get back on the horse with you in a more robust manner than had been the case previously. So it feels like there's going to be a lot that they're going to share with you about sort of what's happened in the time apart. If it was like work trips or work travel, then it feels like they had success in some sort of way, that they're feeling good. Their self-esteem has been boosted. Maybe even there was some kind of financial reward on the other side of that, to where it's like, okay, let's go out to dinner. Here's these flowers. Here, I brought you this souvenir, where there's almost like a level of generosity that isn't just kind of trying to like buy your love and affection, or it's not this energy of kind of like, okay, let me just sort of give you a gift and then we can overcome this period of silence and distance. But it's almost somebody that they're able to kind of give more, or will be able to give more to you, sort of like actually in the connection, but also in terms of like there's free time in some sort of way, or there's they've come to a place within of, okay, let's take things to the next level. Let me open up. Let me explain things. Let's catch up, make up for lost time. And it feels like it's something that kind of gives you hope. It lights a beacon or a way forward, where you might be on the brink of kind of just throwing in the towel with this person in this situation. And it's almost like, okay, there is something to work with here. There is kind of a future that we can build with one another out of something that almost just seemed like a dead end or like a lost cause. So let's get one more card and see what else you need to know about this energy. We have bliss, contentment, satisfaction, and security. Yeah, so this person's reemergence in your life, it's going to make you smile. It's something that's very like sweet, very tender, very endearing. Almost a sense of like whatever the responsibilities were, whatever happened that kind of took them away from you for a minute. There's a sense that like they're ready to come home. They're ready to snuggle. They're ready to get to know you again, or get to know you even more than you'd already been getting to know one another, to kind of just let's pick up where we left off and start to build upon those tender moments with one another. Something that's really going to give you peace of mind, like put your heart at ease, put your mind at ease. It's almost like this person then passed a test of loyalty that you didn't even say like, okay, I'm going to have to like worry about you and other people. Like even if there was some fight and disagreement and it's just like you've been standing with your backs to one another, just kind of stewing and ruminating, or, just kind of processing that in some way, it doesn't feel like anything that would have been like, oh, they were cheating or they were talking to someone else, or, that they have like a reputation where you'd have to worry about, okay, we're on the outs now. Who are they on the ins with? It's a sense of almost like, a lot of this could have just been sort of overthinking, again, like wounds, maybe abandonment wounds triggered, and how this person comes in and like shows up, or I'm hearing saves the day. So kind of, again, like you're ready to release this. You're just like, I don't know. I guess that was it. That was just a thing. That was just a fluke in my life. And so it is. And I just move forward. It's almost like they come in and say, no, wait a minute. Here I am. I was getting back to you. I was getting back to this. I had other things that I needed to tend to, or like I told you I would return, and so here I am. And so this almost is the energy of something that softens you from a place of like boundaries or guardedness, or again, just like anxiety, tension, uncertainty, where it feels like it's sort of the introduction into a chapter of kind of like, okay, we're back on, and something where like absence has made the heart grow fonder, or the distance has made each of you appreciate one another more, to where this person's like, okay, I want to capitalize on these like moments of closeness. I want to, continue to build, because I appreciate you more now that there was an interruption to the flow that we had going with one another. And it's something that their actions in like a consistent manner, it feels like, really bring you to the space of, it was a good idea to take a chance on this person, or to wait, or to kind of just, feel sort of the overthinking or the uncertainty, but then just kind of trust in the process. Like you did everything right. And then it's like kind of receiving the reward on the other side of that. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got W, D, E, L, G, H, G, N, F, N, C, S, I, M, X, V, L, F, T, and B. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. Chose the Dragon Stone. So let's see what experiences and opportunities are on the horizon for you in terms of love and romance. Okay, we have the Ladybug and Sweet Pea, happiness. The Opossum and Peony, bashfulness. And the Snail and Huckleberry, trust in the invisible. So there's a sense here of the energies of serendipity, like a happy coincidence, something that might almost feel like a setback, something that kind of like it's a detour, it's a delay in plans, you know, things get canceled, and kind of the original path forward you're needing to sort of navigate in a different direction. This can be like life changes in general, or even just something very simple, like you had plans to go somewhere and somebody else canceled last minute, and so now you are having to go somewhere alone, or you're having to like find someone else to go with you, or you cancel the plans altogether and you're doing something else for the day instead. Just little things, it feels like puts you in this sort of just random, seemingly random, kind of like right place, right time, where there's like a stranger that you meet that has the makings to become something more. So this could be somebody that's almost bringing to mind the idea of like layovers for a flight, for example, or something where you find yourself in an environment or in a circumstance where like, well, this wasn't the original plan. This wasn't where I wanted to be or where I intended to be, yet I find myself here. And so I'm just going to have to like make the best of it, or, you know, go through the experience or whatever that looks like. But it feels that it presents like an opportunity for you in terms of somebody to exchange social media, you know, information with, like get on one another's social media, somebody that, you know, again, it's like a seed of potential of like, okay, this is a possibility, something that has growth potential in like a long-term sense. And it almost might be something where you tell yourself, or you feel almost like, okay, this feels like fated. It feels like destined. It's a sense of like, if my original plan had worked out or something else had happened, I wouldn't have been sitting here and this person wouldn't have come and sat beside me. I wouldn't have had this empty chair next to me, and, you know, someone comes along and fills it. This might even be something that, kind of to get into the bigger echo of that, almost the sense of like, somebody that it's just like, it's that first meeting. This might even be like the first time meeting a past life soulmate, or like a significant soul connection. Like you're getting ready to have that, this is our genesis point, and then it expands from there. But it very quickly, almost kind of like you meet someone, the exchange happens, and then you're going back about your lives to where it may really start to make you think about like the bigger pattern of your life, and go through the process of kind of like, if it had worked out with an ex, if I'd gotten what I wanted long ago, I wouldn't be in the position in my life or in my love life to be able to receive the resonance that I feel with this person. You may have just kind of like come out of a place of like closing out other cycles. Maybe you've released an ex, or you've made some kind of promise to yourself, like I'm moving forward. I'm kind of doing what's best for me now. And in the vibration of that, it feels like it's something that brings you outside of your comfort zone. It's very unexpected. So this isn't something like you're on a dating website and you know, somebody like messages you. It feels like it happens out and about in the world. And it's kind of just, it feels like this person as well, this can be kind of a clue or indicator when you encounter them of like, they too have some sort of, I wasn't even supposed to be here today, or you know, I had other plans and things got changed. I came here because somebody else canceled on me and I decided I wanted to go out and, you know, have a good time anyway. Like whatever that looks like, it's like two people that their original plan of action or the path that they were walking created detours, and yet it was exactly what was needed to kind of create this intersection between the two of you, where it's almost a sense of kind of reviving a degree of hope within you that like all has not been lost. So this could be somebody that brings a kind of love to you sort of as this develops, as it grows, as it, you know, turns into whatever it would turn into, something that makes you kind of see like, hey, I wasn't ever asking for too much in love and romance. I was just asking the wrong people. Or, you know, kind of the idea of like not all who wander are lost. It's like almost a sense of like, was this who I was headed towards this whole time? Is this the place? In the midst of like other things that didn't work out for me, you know, in a very kind of like specific level, or maybe you're just in kind of that tone within yourself. You're thinking about those things, you're introspecting about those things. You may be in the process of doing some shadow work or some healing or some journaling, or, you know, just kind of like thinking over that, reviewing these things. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, here's something that kind of gets my mind off of what's lacking, what's missing. And it's like, oh, this is just an ordinary day, where if I'd gone through the motions and everything had worked out according to my plans, I wouldn't have been in that place for the universe to align this other person who as well was just going through the motions of their reality, their daily life. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, now we're doing something else. Last minute change of plans, spontaneity, or even again, something that might seem like a detour or a setback, or kind of like, all right, well, this kind of brings me back to square one. I got to start from scratch. And yet it's the right place, because it's the beginning of something that feels like bigger. So let's see what else you need to know about this. And this also might be the energy of like you being the first person to like start conversation with this individual. Like they may be just kind of like sitting next to you, or they're sitting in a lobby, or you know, it's kind of like, okay, you're here and you're just sort of being friendly with someone. So you kind of taking that first step forward, and it may be something that like it actually works. There's actually, you know, responsiveness, or it's somebody that, hey, there's a vibe, there's some chemistry, there's a thing going, that kind of, again, like if you'd been dating someone else, or you'd been somewhere else, you wouldn't have had the opportunity to kind of like, okay, I'm attracted to this person, they look interesting, you know, I'm feeling a pull towards them, instead of just like, you know, maybe you in the past, like you've had that, but then you don't say anything, and you kind of just go about your life and maybe have thought, what would have happened if I'd said something or done something, or maybe you just kind of go about your life. This is one of those circumstances of like, you feel that immediate, or, you know, in the moment kind of pull, and it may be you who, okay, I'm going to say something. I'm not waiting to be chosen. I'm going to choose, and I'm choosing to talk to this person. And so that, it feels like maybe, again, very kind of like different or empowering, or a sense of like, wow, if other things hadn't happened to put me in that mindset of I'm just going to go for it, like in life in general, then this could have been somebody that is like a stranger sitting in a lobby with me, and I don't say anything, and then we would never know. Okay, we have lifting off and mother of dreaming. So yeah, some of you, you're going to meet somebody while traveling, while in an airport. It may even be somebody that travels to your city, or your town, or your country, or vice versa for you. And it's kind of like maybe you have some free time and you're just out exploring, and that's how you encounter this person, or vice versa. They may have some free time, they're out and exploring, and kind of the intention of that is not, I'm going to go try to meet someone, I'm going to meet a romantic potential, or even for a portion of you, like, I'm going to meet the love of my life, because this kind of feels like the energy of serendipity. Like, it's not just meant to be a one-off of kind of like, all right, that shows me that sort of there's always a plan B. If the plan A doesn't work out, there's always the plan B. It feels like it has like some long-term potential, like you've manifested or called this into your reality, maybe even through your willingness to kind of like move beyond broken cycles. This could even have to do with something where maybe you're taking a trip or a vacation, like you've gotten over breakup, you've gotten over some heartbreak, and you're like, I just need to get out, I just need to kind of get away, just do something, recharge, or kind of, have that experience of freedom. And it's almost like that's where you meet this person. The idea of mother of dreaming, again, speaks to like long-term potential. It feels like this person's going to be very dreamy. Something about their eyes, maybe just, they may be very deep, very like intense, but not in a way that's confrontational, but almost just like, I just want to explore the depth that is in there. It's a sense of, again, like a soul connection, like a soulmate coming in, a sense that you feel very comfortable in their presence. It may be very easy to talk to. There may be some kind of like language barrier between the two of you, and so even despite that, like if it's somebody you're talking to in person, there's a sense of like, okay, we're just kind of like getting one another. That's not an obstacle or a challenge for us. Or even if it's something where it's like the idea of people having to like look up like, okay, how do I say this? Or somebody being like, how do I say this? How do I pronounce that? Like that being part of these kind of conversations or some sort of interaction. That may even just be somebody that, is kind of like from a totally different world. You are not the type of person you usually interact with. You usually have the ability to have conversations with. So their worldview or their life perspective or kind of like how they're living their reality, it's different from you, to where there's a sense of like our paths wouldn't have crossed had it not been for these kind of, circumstances that were, our plans fell apart, so we had to make other plans, or we had to kind of just make do. That it's almost like you encounter one another in a way that can't be attributed to anything really beyond what would be almost like coincidence, or kind of like divinely guided or nudged. There's long-term potential here. It's again like a first meeting, that first kind of like, okay, the introduction, hi, how are you, nice to meet you, and it has the ability to kind of develop into something that makes you feel very glad you took a chance to, to speak to someone, or even, again, kind of like glad in a way that like other things didn't work out. Not that there's even like a comparing and contrasting between whatever can happen with this person and whatever you've experienced in the past, but it's almost a sense of like, they're so wonderful, or they show you such a beautiful experience of the development of a partnership, of feelings between people, experiences between people, like in a long range sense, that you don't even think about what other people couldn't do. You don't even spend your time or energy kind of trying to just sort of forgive or release or accept, or whatever that looks like as far as the past, as far as like wounds and triggering, and however that sort of comes up or affects you or shows up in your life is like a cycle to look at. This person is like a breath of fresh air. They're outside of the scope of that energy. So it's like stepping into that new timeline, into that higher experience of like, okay, this isn't just the same wound, wearing a new face. This is the energy of like new territory. I've never encountered someone like this before. I've never felt this way in someone's presence. Again, like whatever sort of their lifestyle is, whatever world they come from, it's an energy of mutual fascination. I'm curious about you. I want to get to know you. I want to like immerse myself or experience things like you do, like for the two of you. And so it feels it has some long range potential to it. So let's get one more card and see what else you need to know. Okay, we have Eighthling, nobility, grace, and gratitude. Yeah, this is the sense of like, this was my lucky day. What was a detour or setback, it actually put me right in the proximity with the jackpot, the treasure, the happily ever after. Maybe for some of you, this is like future spouse energy or something where it just kind of represents like a conclusion of a period of time where you were searching or wondering or kind of like nursing your own wounds, and this person shows you like a higher love, a higher level of experience where, you know, the wounds will always be what they are, healed or, you know, as raw as they may continue to be, but there's a sense of like there's something else out there. I don't just always have to try to outrun patterns of my past. I don't always have to take a chance on someone or let someone in and then I'm left kind of picking up my broken pieces. It's a sense of, it helps you to understand that like, even when you've made what you may perceive to be the wrong choice, you've been making the right choice, because you come to this place of, you can't perceive a higher level love unless you've known its opposite intimately. You don't have the ability to kind of know what love is truly unless you experience what it's not, or maybe for some of you, a lot of what it's not. And so it feels like this just kind of balances some scales or sort of shifts the fulcrum in another direction of like, okay, here's the reward, here's the sign for me that the universe has my back, is in support of what I've been doing to, you know, heal my heartbreak, keep my heart open, become emotionally educated, emotionally mature, kind of, you know, evolve past the versions of myself that had been disappointed or betrayed or had kind of, you know, become heartbroken by other people. Like standing here in this present moment, like who I am today as kind of the survivor of all those other versions of me that were collapsed romantically because of experiences with others that didn't work out. Like this is sort of the dawning of the new day. Like, all right, it has that long-term potential. It's somebody that's outside of the usual type and expectation, or just the pattern of maybe like lower vibrational or toxic or unhealed or, you know, unawakened kind of individuals that you might have been dealing with previously. It's almost like this is somebody who can meet you at that higher frequency. And they come in such a unique way, it feels like, that it's very apparent to you of sort of like, wow, okay, this is here at a significant point in my journey or in my life. Like it won't be a mystery to you of sort of like, all right, this turned out to be very rare. Like in the moment, it may just be, okay, here's somebody interesting, here's somebody to talk to, here's something to exchange with. But it feels like further down the road, you're able to kind of, almost like your origin story with this person, if it turns into like a long-term commitment, or for some of you, even that happily ever after eventually, it's almost like, well, people would say, well, what brought the two of you together? And it would be like canceled plans, a detour, things that fell through, and we had to make other arrangements. And that put us both in the right place, right time to have that first experience with one another. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got I, O, Z, O, X, U, N, G, C, D, A, L, S, T, R, G, J, N, V, and H. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.